Have you experienced the awesome power of the Panasonic Real 3DO system? Obviously.
Presenting 3DO, the most advanced home gaming system in the universe. It's time to put away your toys.
3DO from Panasonic, Gold Star, and Creative Labs. A new low price and free games.
Mind-blowing graphics of Panasonic Real 3DO.
3DO.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 3DO Experience, the 3DO retrospective podcast where we talk about the 3DO, the company, and everything in between. I am Bill, and this is Thrak. And for this episode, we actually have a returning guest. It's been about a year now, but we have Casey back. How you doing, Casey?
Hey, thanks for having me back, Bill. Thrak, nice to be sitting opposite or next to or on top of. Yeah, it's actually, I was looking back through our DMs and it's actually been almost exactly a year. So very cool. Great timing on your part, and really excited to be on the show today talking about a fighting game that actually was one of my favorites back when I was a kid. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, when I did that last episode, I wasn't expecting the show to go on hiatus for almost a year, fortunately. But now that we have since we've restarted it and we've been going pretty consistently now, I figured this was one of the games that you had said you would wanted to cover back in the day. So I
Absolutely.
said, I need to get in contact with Casey, and we have you here now.
Yeah.
So Thrak, how you doing?
Oh, just peachy. Last few days of work have been a lot, so I've been rather tired. And on top of that, I had to play this game. So yeah, it's been a little rough, but I'll be okay. I'm gonna soldier on as we do. You know, I'm gonna be braver than our troops. Okay.
Yeah. How's the weather down there? You were saying you're getting like tornado warnings.
Yeah, so apparently all the heavy weather, say like I'm right here, all the heavy weather is to the north and to the south of me. So what's nice is, I guess, since we're kind of in like a valley, all the heavy stuff tends to just blow right by us. So we had some like rain and thunderstorms, but nothing that major. So we should be okay.
Yeah, we just have like downpouring rain going on right now. They're saying that it might snow on Thursday, and I'm just kind of like, no, I'm done with that.
Yeah, we might get a little snow tomorrow night, but it's like within a mix, so it wouldn't even be that severe. So
yeah, it's been a bit of a couple of weeks, but hey, we're getting into April now. Spring's finally showing up, and we're excited to talk about some new 3DO games.
oh yeah, we did get a brand new 3DO game the other day.
We did. Casey, have you heard about BioFury?
No, I haven't heard about that one. Tell me about it.
So
It's this guy right here.
Ooh.
it's a brand new FPS that's designed and runs on 3DO. I still haven't found out enough about the company behind it at this point,
Well, it's just a guy.
but they're doing like legitimate like retail discs that work perfectly on the console. I played a bit of it last night. I'm interested in what I was playing. We're definitely going to cover it at some point for the show going down the
Oh,
line.
absolutely.
Very cool.
I also got my copy of Tripped in the mail today, so we'll be able to cover that game because our buddy Aaron really wants us to play it.
Yeah, I got a bunch of new ones over the week. Let's see. On top of BioFury, I got Slam and Jam 95, Hell, Flashback, Starblade. So got a lot of it. And there's one more on the way. It's coming. I don't want to say what it is because it's a big one. So I will save it for when I get it.
Nice. Looking forward to that one. So it's a little different than how we normally do. I figured because Casey's here, and I know you actually grew up with a 3DO back in the day.
Yeah.
you said this was like one of your favorites. Like, how did you get into Way of the Warrior?
But before you go there, I need to ask: did
Yeah.
you pay the $700 price tag for this?
No, and I was pretty young, so I ended up getting a 3DO by way of begging the parents, or rather my father. I got it kind of on its way out. So I was,
Mm.
I think, well, I shouldn't say I was lucky enough, but my father was lucky enough to get it when it was like on deep discount.
Okay, so you got in at like the right time where it was like it was still abundant, but they were
Mhm.
trying to get rid of the stock so you could get
Yep.
everything for like dirt cheap.
Oh yeah, and the games were way cheaper. I would say right priced maybe. But
For some of them, yeah.
yeah, and I also had the gold star, so I think it was a little it was probably on a little bit of a deeper discount. Because the FC ones were a little hard to come by, and that's the one I wanted. I wanted the Castle console, but the Gold Star worked just fine until the disk drive broke. But it was still fun.
And I remember in our old episode, you were saying like getting that thing fixed was like the biggest hassle ever.
It was really hard actually. So we had to ship it in and wait for. I think I waited for about 3 or 4 months. It was a very long process, but then it came back, and then it worked, and then I bought extra disk drives for it when I grew up later on. But
Do
yeah,
you still have it?
No. So it was funny. Bill and I were just talking before we got started. I got into collecting pretty hardcore in my late teens, early 20s. And unfortunately, the house that I grew up in was the house that all my consoles were in, and it got broken into and everything got stolen.
Oh,
And then fast forward a few years, I went to rebuild the console or the collection a little bit with my brother. And then when he passed, I just kind of got sad, sold everything. So kind of back at square one again. But the collecting itch and hearing you guys talk about some of the stuff you're getting in the mail is definitely pushing me back to maybe I might jump back into to collecting.
Nice.
it's very pricey these days. So
That's what I hear.
Definitely. So, Way of the Warrior.
Yeah, so you're getting back to the original question. So I was traditionally like a very hardcore fighting game enthusiast. So started with first time I heard Shoryuken in the arcade, and I had to play every fighting game that there was. And then Mortal Kombat came out, and that was the hot game right then. Then I got the 3DO, and then everything on Game Pro was all about this great game that's going to be way bigger and badder than Mortal Kombat was, and that was Way of the Warrior. Same kind of realistic feel, all the blood and fatalities and just over the topness, and I just had to have it. And then me not really knowing what a good versus a bad fighting game was, just went for what was the most extreme, and that ended up just being like that was the game that I always played.
Nice.
So you didn't have Mortal Kombat, like a home console version at the time?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I had the Sega Genesis and the SNES version. Obviously, the SNES version didn't have the blood. Genesis version had the blood code, so we could kind of turn it into a good one. I also had the Sega CD, so I had the Sega CD version of Mortal Kombat, which was really great.
Oh yeah, I think I have that one too.
Yeah, that's one of the best, I think, arcade ports in that genre, in that generation. But I mean,
Did
I also
that
had
have
Samurai
the blood
Showdown.
did that have the blood code, or was that just the blood was
Just-
turned on?
Blood was turned on. Yep.
Yeah, okay, that's what made it the better version.
Yeah.
You didn't have to remember a Phil Collins album.
That's right. What was it? ABACABB?
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
actually the name of it. Abacab is a Genesis album from 1982, which
Ooh.
I'd heard that code was intentional. Like Ed Boon was a Genesis fan and made the connection.
That's cool. And it was on the Genesis, so
Yeah,
also
it
double
could have been
whammy.
a total lie, I heard, but it makes too much sense.
We'll run with it.
Sure.
So, going into I guess some of the early history of Way of the Warrior, this game's background is kind of interesting. I gotta say, I love this cover art. Like, it is.
It's the best part of the game.
I don't have the box. I feel
Did you
left
get
out.
did you get the manual?
Did it? I don't
I-
know. I've never opened. Hey, it's in here.
Yeah. I've glanced at the manual.
I will say, so the history of this game is pretty fascinating. Obviously, the reason why this game is so well known nowadays is because it was the final game Naughty Dog developed before they created Crash Bandicoot. Going into the background on it a little bit, this game's development is kind of interesting. So, like after Naughty Dog released like Keep the Thief and Rings of Power for EA during their short-lived EA partnership, they basically kind of just gave up on gaming for a while because like they had like zero creative control and like EA's marketing kind of did nothing for them at the time. So they kind of I believe I read like Andy Gavin went to MIT to learn more about programming, and Jason Rubin supposedly moved to California to start a surf shop, and then he instead started like a film production company, and they eventually ended up getting a call from Trip Hawkins, obviously the founder of EA, basically telling them that he had this whole idea for a new console, which would become 3DO, and that he wanted them to make a game for him. So they basically used their $80,000 they got from their EA deal, and they started work on Way of the Warrior.
Yeah, that was that's I went and watched the one of the videos on how that all transpired, and I believe they had gone to, you could probably fill me on what conference they went to, where they were looking for the distributor for it, and essentially got a three-way bidding war between Universal, EA, and 3DO Company, and then ultimately went with Universal, which was pretty interesting to go from we're spending our last dollars on this game to is it going to work out or not to hey, we've got a bidding war going on for this thing.
I
wonder if anybody played it.
Yeah. I find it interesting that during the production of the game, they had basically no money, and they basically used like the most like rudimentary like stuff they could find. Like they went to they went to like, I believe they went to like the Chinese, like the Hong Kong district in like I think it was Boston, like Boston Chinatown, and they found this random shop that had a bunch of clothes for sale, and they composed all of the costumes for the game from that shop alone. They hired all of their friends to play the actors. Most of it's assumed, it's not confirmed, but it's assumed that no one got paid. This was all done as a favor.
Oh.
And Jason Rubin himself would play two characters in the game. And one funny story about the production is they didn't have a proper green screen or chroma key setup, so instead they just put up a giant cream-colored bedsheet, and they had to like film from the open door because they didn't have enough room in the apartment that Naughty Dog was quote unquote founded in. So they basically were filming out in the hallway, and all the neighbors thought they were filming some weird porno.
Of course.
It would have been easier to explain than this.
Yeah. So other than that, though, the game, interesting enough, like the game was pretty much 100%, other than that, made by Jason Rubin and Andy Gavin. Jason Rubin was the director, producer, designer, and Andy Gavin was, of course, the programmer along with design, because he was basically Naughty Dog's programming wizard for like the longest time. I do find it a little interesting, though, that there was the bidding war between the three, and they went with Universal, who at this point had only really released Jurassic Park Interactive. I guess they were fed up with EA, didn't want to go there again, and I don't know if they just didn't see a future with the 3DO company at the time.
Well, also, apparently they were also with Crystal Dynamics to publish it as well. But I guess they almost accepted Crystal, but I guess there were some issues between like who would have got the rights and what they would have done with them, which is why it didn't become one of the many Crystal Dynamics games. And probably if it was published by 3DO, it probably would have been assumed Naughty Dog would have become a first party 3DO game studio. And if that were to happen, we probably wouldn't have gotten Crash Bandicoot. or if we did, it would have been like a 3DO exclusive. And I don't know if that would have actually helped the console or not. Probably not.
Interestingly enough, too, another key reason why I believe they chose Universal was Mark Cerny, who was kind of like the head of Universal Interactive Studios at the time. And he's the one that kind of encouraged them to basically make this game for, have them publish it, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, and I'd forgotten the original Crash Bandicoot does have the Universal Studios logo on it.
The first 3DO, actually.
Yeah, despite Sony publishing them officially, I guess they were in that deal with Universal to do it. And then if I remember correctly, the Crash IP after Naughty Dog let it go, it went to Universal.
Yes. So the story goes is essentially, jumping ahead a little bit, Universal was impressed enough with this game that they signed them to an additional 3 games, which would end up being the Crash Bandicoot series. From what I believe I've read is like they inked the deal with Sony. Sony did essentially all the distribution, all the marketing, pretty much everything. Naughty Dog obviously developed it. Universal kind of was just like the money bags, and they kind of just sat there and smiled the whole time.
Basically.
But,
especially when that series took off the way that it did.
It was a very similar situation with Insomniac, because like it's weird how Naughty Dog and Insomniac games, like, histories are almost parallel to each other. Because at the same time, Insomniac was making a game called Disruptor, which was originally going to be a 3DO game under Universal.
That never got released, didn't it?
It released on PlayStation because they realized the 3DO had no future, and they moved it over to PlayStation.
Makes me sad every time I hear the 3DO like died the way it did and just had no future.
That damn $700 price tag.
Yeah. And then after the PlayStation exclusivity stuff, it went to Universal, and then that of course molded into like Universal Vivendi Games, and then I believe Activision went ahead and bought all of that sometime in the late 2000s with Call of Duty money. And now Microsoft owns the whole thing. So we can tie Way of the Warrior to the Xbox.
In a weird sort of way.
In a very weird roundabout way. When's the Game Pass drop? When is that coming to Game Pass?
I was going to say, when's the remaster? When we put a poll on that.
Well,
see, the real question is,
weird thing is that yesterday was April 1st, and I think it was Night Dive, like, oh, we're doing a definitive edition of PO'd. For a game we've covered before on the show, and my first thought was, no way this is real. It's real, and
April Fool's it.
And I think they saw like, oh, April Fool was like a silly day, like we'll do this today because it's like silly, and it also happened to be a Monday, so that might be a game we end up going back to in the future.
That'd be cool.
I'd like to give it a second shot because we weren't very nice to it in our original review.
To be fair, the 3DO version runs like garbage.
It does.
So playing it on my Xbox, like running much better, I think would do well. And it's being done by Night Dive, and they've kind of made a name for themselves, bringing all of these old PC games back and doing like fantastic jobs with all of them. So I think it'll be in good hands.
I think I saw someone referred to Night Dive as the M2 of first-person shooters.
Yeah, that's accurate because I believe both their versions of Quake are on Game Pass, and I played one of them, and it was really good.
They did the Turok remasters as well.
They did the Turoks, Power Slave, which is a great game, Dark Forces, Doom 64. I believe they also did Shadow Man. Didn't they do Harvester? I think that was the System Shock. They had System Shock games.
Yeah.
They might have done Harvester. Yeah.
So
Harvester's a weird fucking game. It's so cool.
It's good though.
It's. Do you not know Harvester?
No.
It's. How do I describe it? It's like a point and click adventure game that's FMV based, and it's like some random dude in like the weirdest town ever. That's the best way I can describe it.
You said
just have to-
FMV, so I'm in. If it's
yeah,
FMV,
it's
I'm
on
in.
it's on Steam. I think it's on GOG as well, and it's pretty cheap, so it's well worth a
I'm
look.
writing it down here. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, yeah. You better come back and be like, what the fuck is this?
I might. But
It's
those are the best
wacky.
games. I love those.
I've played it a lot. It's really cool.
Very cool.
So
Anyways,
before we get completely off track, so I have to ask, like, so I'm assuming this was the first time you played Thrak, right?
well, I did play it a little bit because this was one of the first 3DO games I got because it's readily available and it usually doesn't go for that much money. But this was me actually trying to get far in it for review purposes. And I gotta say, while I got farther than I ever have, I still didn't get very far. Because I guess, long story short, I fucking hate this game. Like, with every fiber of my being. Like, it's not even a, like, it's bad, but it's kind of like funny, haha, whatever. I have a very visceral distaste for this game.
Oh, then may I suggest Shadow War of Succession for you? This game will look like Street Fighter 2.
What was that called again?
Shadow War of Succession.
Shadow War of Succession. I gotta check that out. And I'm not a fighting game aficionado at all. Like, I've played a lot of Mortal Kombat. Like, I had Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 on the Genesis. I played that a ton. I've been a huge fan of the Mortal Kombat series. I also really like Soul Calibur. And I have, little bits of Tekken and Street Fighter here and there. Played a lot of Smash Brothers, of course. So I'm not a fighting game novice, but it's not a genre I have a lot of, like, knowledge in, and it's something that I know a huge amount of. So I'm coming at it more from a, like, slightly above casual type of vantage point. But oh boy.
Boy. The best way to describe this game is it's not so much like the whole, like, we have Mortal Kombat at home kind of thing. This game is more unashamedly like it's trying to be better than Mortal Kombat, but not quite hitting the mark.
It like, Mortal Kombat is the biggest influence. And my guess is, like, the bidding war that was going on for this game was probably a combination of the 3DO not really having a lot of software, but it had a lot of promise, and people seeing this looking just like Mortal Kombat and being like, oh, like, this is the hot shit. We need to jump on this bandwagon. Because I guess people thought Mortal Kombat was an easy game to copy. Because, Street Fighter 2, when that came out, a lot of Street Fighter 2 clones came out. A lot of other games trying to do that style. But the Street Fighter 2 formula was easier to repeat, I think. Especially Capcom themselves, because there's, 500 versions of it. But with Mortal Kombat, it's a very different vibe to it. Like, most of the clones put too much emphasis on the brutality and the violence of it, when at the core of Mortal Kombat, it's just a good fighting game. Like, it's not as technical as Street Fighter, but it has enough tech to get fighting game people into it. But it's also simple enough for casual people as well. It finds a nice kind of way of covering the entire spectrum of people who would play fighting games, right? But Way of the Warrior definitely comes off to me as a game that's trying too hard to emphasize, like, the violence and the kind of over-the-top nature of it, but forgetting that the core of the fighting game has to be the fighting. You can have a weird talking skull all you want with, like, a weird yin-yang symbol on his head, but if the game controls like shit, what's the point?
So one of the key, like, selling
Balls
points
is a better fighting game. I can't believe I'm saying that. Balls is better because it at least has something resembling a fighting game in it.
Oh boy. So interestingly, one of the big selling points of this game was the massive amount of character moves and a very large selection of fatalities, or whatever this game's equivalent of fatalities was.
Just call them fatalities.
Yeah.
They are finishing moves.
Good luck trying to do any of them, though, because I couldn't figure any of them out.
So hard.
Yeah, because
so
they don't
hard.
give you a list of any of them. Like, even in the even in the book, when you have like all the different characters, they'll give you like 2 of their special moves, but that's really about it. You know, like most characters have your down forward low punch projectile thing, which is easy to replicate. But yeah, other than that, I didn't look online to see if there's a game fact of somebody who found them all. There might be one, but I don't know if anybody has that kind of time on their hands.
So, real question here. Do you think if I fill out this postcard, they'll send me some Wave the Warrior merch?
I think they probably send you
Do
like
it.
I think they send you like Last of Us 2 remastered on PS5 and be like, we're so sorry.
I don't think they would, because this goes to Universal. So would Microsoft send me anything?
Ooh, maybe.
I just opened it up. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, oh, it's one of those little like postcards like that you can fill out to get.
Holy shit, there's a move list. Oh my god. Shout out to M Buffa from GameFAQ who made this move list and guide. It doesn't give me a year, but it's GameFAQ, so it could have been like 2001 or something.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, actually.
Oh, 1994. This fucker made this in 94.
This was done in text.
God, I was a baby when he made this. I was an actual baby.
Wasn't alive, so
yeah, because like it goes up to, I think the last update was January 9th, 1995. So yeah, I was an infant. I was in a cradle.
So
wow.
Before we talk about more of the gameplay, I would like to say graphically, I don't think the game looks bad.
It looks like shit. It absolutely looks like shit.
Okay.
But because digitizing characters is hard to do. Like Way of the Warrior kind of proves it, because the Mortal Kombat games, you look at those digitized sprites and they look really good because they do more than just do the really nice, high quality, pictures. I mean, also they had Midway money, and that's when Midway had money, right? Yeah. So they look a lot better. But also there's some really good behind the scenes documentaries of Mortal Kombat at the time, is that they would go in to like all the different frames and they would like fill in with like 2D art where it looked kind of funky and tried to make it look as clean and smooth as possible. And that work really shows, especially in a game like Mortal Kombat 2, where the characters almost look like 2D drawn characters, but obviously they're not. Like, I mean, I can give Naughty Dog a pass on that because they don't have the tech to really smooth out those edges and make it look nice. But at the same time, like the backgrounds aren't really that interesting. And yeah, like all the outfits are just like Halloween costume clothing. Like you can tell the ninja, like he looks like, do you guys remember Ask a Ninja? Like that random YouTube series from like the mid 2000s or whatever. That's what he looks like. I'm really throwing it back. If you know what Ask a Ninja is.
Fun fact, the ninja is one of the characters played by Jason Rubin.
That makes sense. You can hide his face.
Well, you can tell the 2 characters he played are the 2 characters with their faces hidden.
Makes way too much sense.
Konotori and Ninja.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I kind of like the look of this game because it just looks so. I love the cheesy, like kind of crappy look that it has going on.
That's fair. That's totally fair. I could see it coming off as like charming. Guys like Shaky Jake and Major Gaines.
Major Gaines is my favorite.
And like Nikki Chan and Crimson Glory, who like I have a weird feeling they were like their girlfriends at the time. It's just a feeling I have.
Had to have been.
Yeah. Or Nobunaga? The hell is that?
Nobunaga.
So
that's the way he said. I think it's Nobunaga, but yeah, the way the skull guy says it, it's so dramatic.
Christ.
So you can actually go on IMDb and find all of the actors and actresses that were in this game. I wonder if Shaky Jake is played by Mitch Gavin. I wonder if he's related to Andy Gavin.
Probably. His Australian cousin. No, he's not Australian.
He's not Australian. No.
Not even close.
Let's be real.
No. He's as Australian as Foster's beer.
Fair.
Yeah, so the game definitely has a look to it. Whether you like it or not, that is up for debate. The only other thing I wanted to bring up was this game's menus are very confusing.
Yeah, they're not great, but they're not the worst 3DO menus I've seen.
No. Well, our running joke is that 3DO menus are just confusing inherently.
Yeah, because they're trying to be different. You know,
At least you got some voices.
experimental.
You got voices when you go over the little menu items, though, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, and this game, praise to God that you love White Zombie because it never stops. I
And
think they
I
just
do.
play that. Well, I like them too, but not this much, man.
Oh,
Like they play I think it's just the one album, like
It
Devil
is
Music. It's just
It's-
that whole
yeah, it's
album,
so
start to
sexy, this show.
finish. It just doesn't
over
stop.
and over again,
so
and I love it.
every track.
It's better than Rob Zombie solo. I'll give you that.
Agreed.
So every track from the album is in this game at one point or another.
Yep.
Yeah, almost the association makes me hate White Zombie by just association.
You know, I this is the part of the history that I'm a little hazy on. But I'm willing to bet that White Zombie had little to no knowledge that this was in the game at all.
Yeah, how'd they even get them? Were they on like Universal Music at the time?
They're on Geffen. They're on Geffen, and I think Universal owned Geffen.
Okay.
Yep, they're part of the Universal Music Group. So
Okay, but when were they bought by Universal Music? Must have been around that time, I think.
Yeah. So Sex Still came out in 92, I think.
That's what it
Yeah.
says. Yes, and this game is 94.
Yeah. So they're like, here's an album that's not doing too well. That sounds really hardcore. Let's put that in the game.
It was.
I mean,
released-
because
oh,
if you think back at like Road Rash, right, had Soundgarden. Like,
Yeah.
you can't top that. Let's use
no,
White Zombie.
No,
hey, Road Rash had my favorite band ever, Sledge Driver. I love that name.
that is a great name.
So we've kind of gone into it gameplay wise. It's the reason why I always say Mortal Kombat is like so good at what it does is because Mortal Kombat has like a feel to it that I don't think any other fighting game really has. Like
It's Western. It's like the only major fighting game franchise that's made by a Western company. All the others are Japanese.
like I know in particular, like when I was playing, like say when Mortal Kombat 9 came out, like that game specifically is so good to me because it has that Mortal Kombat feel to it. And it was so refreshing at the time when like every other fighter was like either a Street Fighter-esque styled one, like a Tekken or like an Arc System Works fighter.
Yeah, and 9 was the reboot of the series coming off of the 3D trilogy, which I have a huge soft spot for. But I know some people aren't too high on those games, but that's another topic. But yeah, 9 was like going like right back to 2D, rebooting the series, trying to do like weird shit with the lore, but also trying to make, I think, the fighting much faster and more appealing to people overall. Though I think 10 and 11 improve on the fighting system that was put in 9. So I think 9's a little clunky, but it was the first of a new style for them.
9 at the time really stuck out for like
Yes.
just how good it felt to play. And I brought 9 up specifically because when I'm talking about this game, playing this game feels like they got like the basic idea and then it's missing like all the finesse that makes Mortal Kombat like such a fun game to play.
They focus too much on having like a nice window dressing, but like the window itself needs replaced.
Yeah.
So it's like a nice curtain. It looks really nice, but it's not keeping, the house warm.
Yeah, that's fair. I think one of the things that makes Mortal Kombat so awesome too is it jumping a little bit of ahead, but the sound design. So when you hit and you land a hit, it sounds like you landed a hit. It makes you feel like you actually, did that uppercut. you don't have that with this game, unfortunately.
No,
the
no.
voice, the even if it's just down to grunts and stuff, like the voice acting is just by far, that just adds a level of weight to it that I think just you have to put so much into sound design as well as the mechanics, and I think they go hand in hand, really.
And also the lore. Like Mortal Kombat to me has such fantastic lore. Like I love it's so fascinating, and like it, like the heavy like Chinese mythology that they go for in Mortal Kombat. It's because they were genuinely interested in that stuff. Like Tobias and Boone were all fascinated with that and wanted to incorporate it. But something like Way of the Warrior, they're just doing it because they think, oh, that's what's in vogue. We just need to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's clearly just trying to ride a wave, but not understanding what made that wave work in the first place. You
Yeah.
know?
You can tell a lot too, because if you look at Naughty Dog's previous games, like Keith the Thief and Rings of Power, that has a very distinct kind of like Western, like tabletop kind of feel to it.
Mhm.
And then you look at Crash.
Rings
and
of Power's on Genesis, right?
Yes.
I should add that to my list.
And then obviously Crash has its own very unique, distinct style. Both of those games, like just other than I guess like some of the levels in Crash, like this Way of the Warrior is kind of a weird outlier for them in terms of just like style and just like appearance, because this really isn't something that they ever really revisited aside from like the Chinese style levels in like Crash 3 or something like that.
Yeah, I think what helps say a Crash Bandicoot is that Naughty Dog found something original. Because it came out, first Crash came out before Mario 64, I believe. And so it was a time where like 3D platformers were still brand spanking new. And nobody really knew what to do with them. And Mario 64 did kind of lay the groundwork for what those should be. But at the same time, you had Crash Bandicoot, which found a different way of approaching 3D platformers in a way I think people appreciated, because it still had a 2D like feel and aesthetic to it, you know, whereas Mario 64 is completely different, you know. So Crash finds like a nice middle ground, but also it's like it's original and it's unique and it stands out from a crowd. You know, it's not despite being a mascot platformer in the 90s, which there were like a million of them, I think Crash does just enough to stick out. And also having the backing of Sony for their new console didn't hurt anything. But Crash I think holds up really well because it's a really good idea that was executed well. But that's probably because they had more of a team and more of an idea. Whereas Way of the Warrior, to me, it just doesn't seem like they have any idea of besides let's just make some money.
I have a
You know?
strong feeling that like either 3D or Universal was kind of like, you should make a Mortal Kombat clone for this console because we really need fighters on it.
Yeah, and wasn't there supposed to be a Mortal Kombat port to this thing?
There's
Was
a
it
Mortal
2? Mortal Kombat 2?
Mortal
That'd
Kombat
been so
2
cool.
was planned, and there is a team right now working on getting it ported over.
But
Like
that wasn't
now?
at but it wasn't at
Yes.
the time. So I thought somebody was trying it at the time.
I'd have to look it farther into that because I for some reason I feel like the version that they're working on now is based off of an unfinished port.
Oh, it was Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. That's the
Oh,
one.
3. Okay.
According to the Lost Media Wiki, that one was planned. Because, yeah, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 got ported to, like, everything.
So not 2, because
No.
2's one of my favorites.
Well, 2 also got ported to, like, everything at the time.
Yeah.
Like, there's a
So-
Sega Saturn port of it for some reason.
And a 32X.
Why not?
32X, yeah.
Yeah, 32X had it. Yeah.
It's,
There is a port that's being worked on for the 3DO right now. So
okay. That'll be fascinating to see it in action.
All right.
Um,
I'm getting a new one. I'm getting another one then.
So, other than that, like I was trying to think, another interesting thing about this game is it is the final game to use the classic Naughty Dog logo.
Oh,
This
yeah.
this terrible logo. It's bad.
It's
It looked like the dog looks like a fucking like bad Chuck E. Cheese like logo or something. You know what I mean? Where it's like you can't afford to go to Chuck E. Cheese, so you go to like Dennis the Naughty Dogs or something like kind of shady. You know what I mean? Like they just have like shitty like Pong machines that don't work anymore, and like discount pizza. You know, and you scar your child for his 7th birthday party or something stupid.
Yeah, it's if Rockstar and Five Nights at Freddy's made a logo, that was it right there.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, they'd adopt the more iconic dog print logo that they've had ever since with Crash.
Yeah.
Hilariously, in this game, it's not like Rings of Power, where like if you do a code on the screen, the girl that appears, his top comes off.
Was that in this game?
No. That's in Rings of Power.
No, the Skull's eyeballs come back.
Yeah.
Pops eyeballs out.
That'd be amazing.
They come out of the yin, just pop right in.
Yeah, that was a thing in Rings of Power where there's like the Naughty Dog logo instead of the dog has like a blonde woman next to it, and if you do a code on the screen, her top comes off.
The 90s.
Yeah,
The 90s.
what a time. I'm trying to think anything else to bring up with the game. Oh, actually, I did want to ask. Did you use the fighting game pad?
Oh yeah. Though the game's not really made for it because P still pauses. It does help. It does because fighting game pad, it helps with fighting games. But I can't imagine Capcom thought they were making it for this. They're making it for something better. And yeah, it's a better experience with it, but the game's already kind of trash, so it doesn't. It's like putting some sprinkles on a piece of shit.
He has such strong opinions on this game.
My whole time playing it was just, I was like, I hate this game. I absolutely fucking hate this game because I feel like in a fighting game, I want to feel like I'm totally in control of my character, and I do not get that feeling at all from this game. Like your jump is floaty as shit. Why the hell do they start like right here and then immediately jump back? Like why do that? And it's like the enemy AI is so ruthless. You can't even really get a feeling for the controls. And it's like, I don't know what I'm doing,
Yeah.
And then I was able enough with heavy advantage on the left. I'll admit that heavy advantage. I was able to clear the first player, but then the second one, I think I could only get one. I couldn't get 2 rounds. And I was like, well, what the fuck? How do people know how to play this game so well?
I'm not gonna lie. I started playing this game when Bill contacted me again because I hadn't played it in a while, and I was like, "Oh my god, how was I ever able to beat this game?" Like I did. Like I spent entire nights playing this wonderful game, and I go back to it now. I was like, "This game sucks." But I still love it.
Maybe it's just a different time where it's like this is all you have, so you just make it work.
Well, we were playing such other, crappy fighting games. Like I said, check out Shadow. You're going to see a whole another level of suck.
Oh yeah, that one will be fascinating.
Yeah, it'll be wonderful. We'll love it. I'd love to see love to see you stream it. That'd be fantastic.
It wouldn't be a bad idea.
It's not a high bar, but it is better than Kasumi Ninja.
It is also better than Kasumi Ninja.
I will say I think Kasumi Ninja is better than this. It's not by a lot, but I do think it's better. I think it controls a little bit better. And I don't know, that game is more charming to me.
Is it because
Kasumi
of
Ninja?
because
of the Scotsman who shoots a fireball out of his dick. That's hard to top. Okay. And this game doesn't even top that.
That's true.
So yeah, Kasumi Ninja is not great, but I mean, we could talk about that maybe in like something completely different, but I feel like that game is not as bad as people think. It's not great, but I think it's better than this.
The player
didn't have White Zombie.
That's
White
true.
Zombie.
It didn't really have music.
Well,
at all.
you could put it on mute and play some White Zombie on your headphones. There you go.
I'll try it.
Playlist.
I'll try it.
So yeah, other than that, like really not a lot with this game. This game's an interesting. The game itself is kind of bare bones and basic. Like we could bring up like the stages, but they're all kind of generic. Like they're all they're like Mortal Kombat light stages. Like it's like legally distinct enough to not be like a lot not to be like copyright. but like they're so like every stage you're just like, yeah, that looks like something that could have been in a Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody's watching the video version, I do have the demo up. So you've probably seen some of the stages. And yeah, they just don't, they're just lacking any like real inspiration, you know?
To
They
me,
got
the
that one that has the skeleton that comes up out of you or out of the lava when you knock somebody in there. That was cool.
Yeah.
That happens in another game, kind of. But it doesn't come and hit the screen like this one did, you know?
So clearly it's the better game.
I will say
100%.
the best way to play this game to me is like you get two people that have never played it before and you do multiplayer, because then it's just like at least you're both struggling, so it's kind of fun.
I could imagine like if you had like a bad game night, this would be perfect for that.
So when me and Alex did the precursor to what eventually became this podcast,
You made her play this crap?
oh yeah, we did an entire episode covering the 3DO back in like the very early days of GNC.
My sympathies. My dear
sh-
sympathies.
She was a master of balls because like she beat me like every time, and like I had no like no like chance at all.
That's a horrible phrase out of context.
Yeah, I know. I kind of said I kind of thought about it midway through, and then I said, "Eh."
I was like, don't react. Don't react.
It's not the worst thing he said on this show.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, but me and her played a good amount of this game, and like, I'm not gonna lie, both of us having no like skill at this game at all, it was kind of amusing to play.
In that way, it would be fun for sure. I can see
Although
that. Like that's where the fun for multiplayer games or fighting games come from, is from multiplayer. You know.
Although I will say the most fun was whenever she was like about to win, I just unplug her controller.
Yes, the daisy chain. The daisy chain win. That's what we used to call it.
God, that's like one step above. I'm just unplugging the console.
Yeah, well, we didn't have to rage quit that way. We would just, some people throw their controllers or pull it out of the chain. You just unplug your partners and you win.
We've mentioned this so many times in the show, but I always say like the best part about that is say you're player 1 and you're really pissed off at player 2. Well, you unplug player 2 and then you proceed to screw over players 3, 4, and 5 who are also connected to you.
And then you never have friends again.
But you can do it slyly, so you can do it just enough to where it's still connected. So you're looking like you're playing real hard, but you're just slightly edging that thing out just enough to where it loses the connection, but it still looks like it's plugged in.
So you can make it be like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. It just kind of slipped.
Yeah, I was just playing so hard. Yeah,
it was so intense, man.
It was in the moment,
Yeah. Imagine if the N64 did that with like Mario Party. Oh my
God.
Oh my Lord.
You're already losing friends playing that game.
Have to be some real good friends.
See, imagine if the daisy chaining was like the one thing that the 3DO like made standard across the industry.
Imagine like if you need to like charge your PS5 controller, you have to plug it into like your friend's dual sense before you could, and then that dual sense has to be plugged into the system to charge it.
That would have been awesome.
And you have to do that every like 2 hours because the battery is terrible.
Hey, but on that note, if you really want me to try to sell this game to you, which I don't think I'm going to at this point, I was going to
bought it.
I was going to try to convert you to actually liking it, but and not regret your purchase. But there are a couple of things that I don't know if this game particularly did at first, but it's some things that I've noticed. One is items. So the game does give you items, which was kind of different at the time. Little buffs, a little plus 10 power, sometimes debuffs or take power away from your opponent. Those were kind of cool.
I didn't come across those.
Yeah, and then the skull point system was also kind of interesting to unlock powers yet unknown, as the stupid skull says. And I never use them for anything. But
see, I never even had power-ups drop. Like the one time one time I had like the weird logo drop, and it was just for points. It didn't do anything else.
And you know what game does that now? Smash.
What? Well, that's not why Smash is good, though.
That's some people like that. So if you're not competitive, they like it.
I'm that guy who makes all the casuals play with no items.
Yeah,
Piece of
I do
shit.
that too. Because I'll tell you what, I'll lose if there's items.
See, I just
But,
like the chaos. I love the chaos and just like the nonsense.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cool.
I think
It's
they
cool.
just don't like I beat them with Ness. That's probably why that's what they don't like.
Everybody hates Ness.
I love Ness. He's my main.
I'll go on.
So the other kind of cool thing is one of the stages has kind of a platform. I think it's the ice stage. I can't remember the mountain
Oh, yeah.
or whatever. And that was also kind of different, right? So everything was always on a level playing field, and not that it mattered because your characters jump 200 feet in the air and never come down, but there was it was some things that I think were a little bit forward thinking at the time. That
It did the
made
moon
their
jump
ways.
before Halo did.
Yeah,
There you go.
there you go. That's all I got.
Unfortunately, I think his mind is made up, but it was a valiant effort. So before we get into our ranking, I always like to look into some of the contemporary reviews from the time. Although I will say, our running joke, there is no memory manager. So if you're an FC1 player, sorry. Not that there's
Wait.
much to save, but
Wait, was this the game? This might have been the game that when I popped it in, it because the memory was too full, it actually showed me a manager.
I think that was
could-
Alone in the Dark.
No, what it might have been. It was one of those games that I popped it in and it said, "Oh, your system memory is full. You need to delete something." It might have been Alone in the Dark.
I'll have to check that again. That being said, though, ratings for this game for the time were pretty mixed. I'm not going to lie. EGM gave it a 3.75 out of 10. So
Jesus.
they didn't like it. GamePro was a bit nicer and gave it a 15 out of 20. Game Masters gave it a 43.
That's like a pitchfork rating.
Yeah. Next Generation gave it 2 out of 5 stars. 3DO Magazine, the biased magazine that they are, didn't even like it. They gave it 3 out of 5
Bunch of
stars.
shills, bunch of paid shills.
Nobody liked fighting games back then. They were getting sued. They're going to court. Like everybody kind of wanted to stay away from them, especially
That's
the
actually
little ones like this.
that's a bit of a running joke that we've had with the podcast. The first game that we reviewed was Crash and Burn, and 3DO Magazine gave it like overwhelmingly positive reviews. So I made a joke about what a bunch of shills. Like, of course, 3DO Magazine gives it 5 stars.
I mean, it was
Aw.
the only game for the system for like 3 months.
Yeah,
So they had to praise it.
but then
Yeah.
like we discovered like almost every game that they covered after, they were like really harsh too for some reason.
It's all they were playing, man.
That's
Yeah.
it. You heard it here. Crash and Burn is the Breath of the Wild of the 3DO.
Hell yeah.
Jumping off a fucking cliff.
Entertainment Weekly gave it a B+. I didn't even realize they reviewed games.
There you go.
I think they still do.
They probably do. I have. I don't
They're
read
just they're one of those publications that I think they just talk about like entertainment in general. So, add video games to that, I guess.
Entertainment Weekly is the magazine I see when I'm checking out at Barnes and Noble, and I just kind of glance at it and I'm like, not today.
Let's see. They do have a gaming section, but I don't think it's anything dedicated to reviews. I'm looking at like their website right now. They'll just post random things.
Most of the reviews are from sites that no longer exist. My favorite is, I think this must have been a Spanish. I'm assuming this was a Spanish publication. It was Generation 4.
No, that has to be French.
Oh, French maybe.
Generation.
They gave it an 80%, so they really liked this one.
They also did
Consoles
not play it.
Consoles Plus gave it a 69%.
Nice.
Nice.
And my favorite one is Coming Soon Magazine. I'm not sure if that's. I don't know if that's a placeholder or.
It's something, all right.
They gave it 3 out of 5 stars, so no one really liked this game. They were.
Yeah, some people did apparently.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
liked it.
The French did. The French did apparently.
The French have no taste.
He said it, not me.
I'll stand by that.
So what's funny is you can't even one thing that I've seen a lot of people try to justify is like for a fighting game on the 3DO, it wasn't that bad. But like then like you immediately can counter back with like it has Samurai Showdown and Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, two of the best ports of both respective games. It's like that argument doesn't even work here.
Yep.
I think
I got
even if
nothing.
you went like original, there's probably an original fighting game on here that's better than this.
I don't know about that, to be honest.
Original, no. I mean, even Primal Rage on this was better than mechanically better than Way of the Warrior.
Yeah, which is weird. Primal Rage is kind of another Mortal Kombat clone, kinda
with dinosaurs.
Yeah, and that game has its flaws too, but that game's like Half-Life 2 compared to this.
So other than that though, I guess like the other interesting thing though is like this game still did well enough to impress Universal to give Naughty Dog that 3-game contract.
And apparently it's sold better than Samurai Showdown did on 3DO.
That's kind of unfortunate. I'm not gonna lie.
This is why we're not allowed to have nice things. This is why right here.
Well, if you think about it, if you had $700 to blow on a console, were you buying a Neo Geo or were you buying a 3DO?
Well, I'd rather buy a Neo Geo.
So Neo Geo fans were buying Sam Show. I don't know.
They weren't buying it on 3DO. That's for sure. Yeah. Well, and the Neo Geo has probably the best golf game ever made on it. So,
which one?
Neo Turf Masters.
I'm adding that to my list.
It's on Switch as Big Tournament Golf.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, it's genuinely a fantastic game. Like I love it to bits.
Nice. So before we get to must play, okay, stay away, I'd like to say we always talk about what the legacy of the 3DO is. Like we came to the determination in a previous episode that the 3DO's biggest legacy is probably Need for Speed. Just in terms of like a game that has like kind of stood the test of time that originated on the system.
Madden
too, but Madden was established beforehand.
Yeah.
Another one I was kind of thinking about is, would you consider Naughty Dog to be kind of a legacy of the system?
No.
Because
this isn't what Naughty Dog is known for. Like, I doubt many Naughty Dog fans know they did stuff before Crash Bandicoot. I would be shocked. I actually wouldn't be that shocked if there was like a handful of like crazy like Naughty Dog people nowadays who don't even know they made Crash Bandicoot. You know, because like especially with like how stupid a lot of modern gaming discourse is, and a lot of like the weird Sony fanboys are these days, that I guarantee you a lot of those guys who like love Last of Us and Uncharted, and that's what they like out of like their Sony first party games. I'd be like, guys, they also made like Crash Bandicoot. So, you know, it existed at a time where a time of Sony first party stuff that I preferred, more variety, you know, but I feel like some of them would get mad that I said that.
I just noticed in the credits here that Ninja was played by himself.
Maybe it's the same Asuka Ninja guy.
I believe it's Jason Rubin, but
no, you're right. It's just, you know, the game just did all these funny kind of Easter eggy, just weird things, and it was kind of fun. They thanked Metallica. I don't know why. It said anyway.
They're not even in the damn soundtrack.
It said Metallica, and then in quotes or in parentheses it says anyway. I wonder if they like wanted Metallica and they got White Zombie instead. I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
This was 94, so they were probably recording Load at the time, or maybe they were still doing Load
94.
Because Load was 94
would have been Black Album was out in what, 92,
91.
91?
And they did like a massive tour, and then Load came out in 96.
Yeah,
So maybe
that sounds
94
right.
is when they were starting to write the songs for it, maybe. Not a terrible record.
Load. I like Load.
It's
I
not that
like,
bad.
No,
It-
I like
it's-
Load and Reload. I like them both.
They're both way too long. If you take the best cuts from both and put it on one disc, then I think you have like a 4-star classic. But as they stand, they have too many meh songs in them overall,
I can get
which
on
is a
board with that.
shame.
I can get on board with that.
Yeah, because the good songs are really good.
Yeah.
How about the album cover?
I like the album cover.
That's okay. It's
Yeah,
kind
it
of-
has jizz on it. Is that what you want me to say?
Yeah.
He jizzed on a piece of plexiglass and mixed it with blood, so it looks like flames. I like it. It's art. Piss Christ.
You
I
know,
just
and I
love
thought
this.
I was just going to learn about the Way of the Warrior here today, but now I know a little bit more about album art. Thanks, guys.
It's the most appropriately titled album of all time.
Love it.
So
Cool,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, that's true. So must play. Okay, stay away. I don't want to say stay away, but I don't really recommend playing this game either. So I'm probably going to say stay away on this one.
You know, this is the Dark Souls of and the amount of frustration that you'll get out of playing this game.
Oh,
So
see,
I
I
say
had
you
I had
have
to
to play
study
it.
the iframes. That was the problem. Okay, if I just did the roll at the right time,
That's right.
I could have taken down the ninja.
Get good.
Fuck. God.
No, I think
It's a
everybody's
skill
got
issue.
everybody's got to experience the frustration that playing this game was. I mean, I liked it because I wanted that bigger, badder Mortal Kombat kind of. I wanted the Mortal Kombat killer. You know, I love Mortal Kombat still. I didn't have anything against it, but you know, the prospect of something being better than that on my favorite system at the time, and still one of my favorite systems of all time. I say you should wait, sorry, what are the okay play or must play okay or stay away? I'll say okay.
Okay, that's fair. See, usually I'm the super nice one who's always trying to like find the little benefit of the doubt, but I'm like at this point I'm just kind of like I didn't. It's like I don't even really like it, but I kind of like it at the same time.
The truth will set you free.
Yeah. How about you, Thrak?
Well, yeah, stay the fuck away. It's the play. But I will say this. It is weirdly enough one of the defining 3DO titles. Like when people talk about this system, it is a game that gets brought up. Maybe not as like a highlight, but as something that's memorable from the system. So for that, it is a defining part of its legacy. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but it does have that going for it, which I think is respectable. But yeah, don't ever play this. I'm going to make this decree right now. It is easily the worst game I've played on this system, and I will be shocked if we find a game worse than this.
Even more than D?
D was better than this because D, at least I can give it credit for trying to do something completely original and different, even if it doesn't work. Like I can respect D for its artistic ambition. This has the artistic artistic ambition of like a Crayola coloring book.
I love that you gestured to that as the cringy Naughty Dog logo was on screen.
Oh.
It was that is a happy accident, and I will take credit for that. But I would rather play this than Last of Us Part 2.
That's fair.
That's fair.
that's not going to cause controversy.
But you're gonna play Shadow, and then you're gonna say, "No, this game is pretty good comparatively speaking."
I'll load it up on an emulator because I looked up the price of it and I just went, no, thank you.
It's not 50 cents.
No, it's like $100.
It should be
Oh.
50 cents. I think I
If
got
it
it
was
for
50 cents, I'd buy it.
I got it for $15 brand new
I'd
back-
pay 15 for
back in
it.
the day.
Sure. I'd even go 20.
Let's just say it's the only 3DO game I ever took back.
Oh,
Oh boy.
oh boy.
It's your Resident Evil 6 for me.
So
Yeah.
for this round, we've got I said stay away. Casey said okay. and Thrax said, "Stay the fuck away. It's the plague."
Or you could say it's the worst game on the system.
I kind of like what you said first, so I'm gonna make that the thing.
Yeah, the TF
Yeah.
that adds a little bit of weight to it.
But yeah, I genuinely will be shocked if there is a worse 3DO game than this. I honestly can't foresee one. Because even if there are some other games that are like that don't like they're not really a game. Like hell, I'd rather like watch the fucking porn shit on here than this. Because we eventually will, and that'll be something we'll do. I don't know how the hell we're gonna do that, but I'm not showing anything on the screen for that one. But I don't know. I just didn't like this at all. It was a failure.
That's fair.
Apparently, they were going to do a arcade version of this
Ooh.
with famed arcade company American Laser Games.
Oh,
I
And I
love me
get-
some American laser games.
Oh, hell yes, dude! I have the Mad Dog McCree collection on the Wii.
Oh,
So
the
when-
Gunslinger collection? Yeah.
Yeah. So when we eventually play those games for this, that's how I'm going to play them. I've
Yeah.
played a bit of them. Whew. Oh boy. See now that's some bad game I can get behind. Like
Okay.
hell yes.
All
Give
right.
me some of that.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
Dude, like cornball dinner theater acting will get me every time.
I love it. Yeah,
Every time.
I love it. They actually have a cabinet. The last time I've been there, it's been a couple of years, but there's a steakhouse in town here in Arizona that has a Mad Dog McCree still set up.
Does it work?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, did any of those work? I mean, they were always busted. I mean, they were always broken.
I would love to see one of those in person.
If it's still there, I'll cruise by there. If it's still there, I'll take a picture of it, send it to you.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Please do.
Yeah, it's so
Nice.
cool.
yeah. So I just find it funny. Like we gave like Plumbers Don't Wear Ties like must play. This has to be experienced for science, of course. And then this game, we're just like, no.
Yes, Way of the Warrior is a game, so it's technically better. But Plumbers is such an experience that has never been and never will be repeated. Whereas this kind of pisses me off. Look at I mean,
Yeah,
even
damn.
the whites, even this like
No.
Beavis and Butthead to America bullshit here, like so I don't know. I'm not the biggest Rob Zombie guy. I think he's a little too pretentious,
Oh yeah,
But
but
as
White
much
Zombie
as
was awesome.
White Zombie was dope. Devil's Rejects is great. Love that movie to bits. The sequel was awful.
It
but
was.
but his Halloween movies were ooh, that's digging up some old hate for me. Anyways, I used to like argue with people about like how those remakes were not better than the originals. Like it was that time where people wanted that brutal shit, and it's like, but that's not what made these movies scary. But that's a tangent. I won't go there.
All right. So this is usually where we'd start signing off for the show. Because we have Casey here, though, I wasn't sure because I wasn't sure what you were up to at this point. Do you have anything you wanted to like shout out or plug?
No, I mean, I would say the channel, but I haven't been streaming or putting out any content in a while. So, no, I'm actually just kind of solo right now, just playing games as I can, and yeah, someday I'll start again.
Nice.
Nothing wrong with taking a break.
It's been a couple years.
It's all right. It's all
No,
right.
It's only been about a year, but yeah, no, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have you back on for. I know Killing Time's the big one, and then
Killing Time.
the American Laser games definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, any other games, just like reach out to us. I mean, we'll put you
Oh,
down
sure.
for those.
So
Yeah.
for American Laser, are we just going to do Mad Dog McCree's, or are we going to talk about Crime Patrol?
Oh, Crime Patrol and Drug Wars.
Oh, Drug Wars.
Drug
Yeah.
Wars was good. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't lump Lethal Enforcers in there, and I don't think that was out on 3D. I think that was.
I don't
Sega
think
CD.
so either. Yeah.
But those were fun games too. I mean, all of those on-rail shooters plus the full motion, those were all great.
There's a lot of American Laser games on here. There's the Mad Dog McCree
Bounty Hunter.
games, Crime Patrol, Drug Wars, Mazer, and Space Pirates.
Oh,
And-
Space Pirates, yeah.
And Who Shot Johnny Rock?
Who Shot Johnny Rock? I love that game.
Yes.
I don't think I ever beat it.
I think that might be a case of we'll do the Mad Dog McCree's as their own thing, and then maybe another part where we cover the other ones.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll figure that out as we go.
And
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain those were filmed right here in Tucson, Arizona.
Hell yeah! I've seen bits of Space Pirates as well. Who can stop this mad pirate?
good.
Oh, I love corny
Oh.
acting. It's so
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Nice. But yeah, so once again, guys, thanks for joining us on the 3DO Experience. You can find 3DO Experience on all the major podcasting platforms. We're also available on YouTube now with video versions of the podcast. Hi, guys. And if you want, you can find all of our links at linktree/thebarbecue and you can join the GNC Podcast Network Discord server for all things gaming, collecting, 3DO Experience, Geek Addicts, talk gaming, anime, or just general nonsense. We're a fun bunch of people over there.
And Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, that's our weird like running joke over there now. I don't know who started it, but we just kind of go with it. And Thrak, you are streaming at
Yes.
the time this comes out tonight.
Yes. So these come out on Wednesday. So Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. You can go to twitch.tv/Thrak94, and I am ranking the Sega Genesis library. So I take requests. You can request them in the chat or tweet at me in my pinned tweet. Yeah, I have the list already picked out for this week. It should be a lot of fun. The amount of views the VODs get kind of scare me because they're higher than I ever expected. But thanks to everybody who's watching. And yeah, it's a fun time. So hop in there. Bill will probably be in there, and it's great. We're just kind of going through the library, picking out the good stuff, the bad stuff. Doesn't matter. I'll play hard driving. That
But
game
he
looks
won't play Way of the Warrior.
Hard driving's a better game. All right.
You should just troll them by starting the stream with Way of the Warrior and be like, I don't remember this.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
put
we're
that
playing.
opening
We're
track on.
playing Mortal Kombat.
With
It
White
looks
Zombie in the background.
I might get copyright claimed.
Yeah,
by
that's-
White
you're
Zombie.
gonna get DMCA.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
Yep. I will put a link to that in the description of the podcast. And with that, everybody, we will see you all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you're not playing on a 3DO system, what are you playing with?